This is about Karate Kid. I guess part six is where it would be in the sequence, though the canon is not exactly canon. So the funny thing about by Sony, right? So the funny thing about Ghostbusters 2016 is it's this woke film fest that was just a train wreck, but they portray this I forget this the black chick's name as a stereotype, a caricature. Um, but if you go back to the original Ghostbusters 1 and 2, the guy who was in the original one was just a competent, capable everyman who didn't portray a clown. He didn't play a black guy. He just played a guy, a Ghostbuster guy, who was in for the gig no matter what it entailed, because it was what was in front of him, and he just suited up and went on to conquer those challenges. But that was in, I don't know, Ghostbusters 1 and 2, maybe 84, 85, 86. Fantastic movie. Somebody's called Ghostbusters Part 1 probably like the best comedy ever made. If you watch it and you think the use, every joke in the sequence of the movie, every moment in that movie seems to make sense. And I watched it again recently. I thought, yeah, it probably is the perfect comedy. Both 1 and 2 are really good films, but one stands on its own. It's like they have to suffer these setbacks, and then this new challenge arises, and they suit up for this challenge. It's like, yeah, it was a really well put together movie. And then so the 2016 movie comes out, and it's jokes about I mean, you saw the movie. I don't even want to repeat jokes, not because they're dirty, because they're cringe. It's just the whole movie is just nonstop cringe on top of cringe, like somebody who had heard of the original or somebody had heard of the cultural phenomenon of, oh yeah, these people like these 80s movies. Oh yeah, so have you watched them? Oh yeah, I think I saw them once online or something. Okay, maybe like take notes on how they set the scenes up, like how oh yeah, well, it's 2016, we're gonna modernize it, we're gonna make them chicks, and the blonde guy is gonna be like so far to the left of the bell curve that he's clearly cognitively impaired, but he's good looking. Oh, that's kind of strange, because the original one, the woman who played that role, um, Annie Banks, I don't remember her name. She didn't. I mean, she didn't play an idiot, and the black guy didn't play an idiot either. But in the new Ghostbusters, you kind of, like, you did things just to do them, like you're making this movie for slightly slow but trainable children who just want dick and fart jokes. It's like, that wasn't the original Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters, like, they made an excellent, I don't know, what is it, horror comedy, I guess, because there was a little horror in there. Like, they made an excellent film, and the fact that you even tried to make it something, it's like, it'd be like remaking Star Wars or something. You just can't do it because you had lightning in a bottle. You got to go in a different direction with it, and the direction you went in was this, where the black chick was just stereotypical black chick, where even for 2016 it was dumb, and the guy is playing someone who's legitimately retarded. Like, none of that makes sense, and like everything else is just try hard, cringy, like wine drinking cat mom jokes. So this is the original Karate Kid from '84, and there, believe it or not, once you put on the They Live glasses, you go back and watch these old movies, you're like, oh, there's a lot of subliminal programming in these films also. But I think I've covered that before. So you got these two characters to team up to overcome some stress, and there's a little romance in it with the Elizabeth Shue was the girlfriend in the original film, and then the second one, they go to Japan. I think they really filmed in Hawaii. Whatever. It's just a fun, simple '80s. There's like a romantic drama with a fight scene at the end, something to overcome. So this was in the '80s, and it was like, there's so many movies that came out of the '80s that were just good, simple movies. So this is the 2010 Karate Kid Part 4 or 5 remake, I think, with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith, set in China. Then this is the 1994 with Hilary Swank, and at least you had the original character in it. My point being to show the progress from the original '80s trilogy to the Hilary Swank 1994 and then 2010 Jackie Chan. Note the, in quotes, progress of that film, as they got rid of everyone associated with the film. In fact, even got rid of the Japanese karate to take it to Chinese kung fu and film it. I mean, the progression of these films. So they're coming out with this new film in 2024, and of course they're not going to capitalize on the name recognition of the two original characters who are in their 50s and still alive, Daniel, and the Johnny character. And in fact, Hilary Swank is I think 48 and still alive. I don't know if she's going to be in this show, like to play a mom or something. It's like you have these original characters who are the perfect age to train the next generation. So you make a movie and you already have the recognition from the Gen X people who know who these people are. So Sony, the Ghostbusters people who did that to 2016 Ghostbusters with Feige, I think, which if you've seen interviews with him on the set of Ghostbusters, oh, those interviews are hard to watch. They're like listening to those tapes of Weinstein begging for sex and then threatening for sex and then begging again. It's like you just want to put them out of their misery. I mean, after legal due process. I wish I could edit that out. That's how pathetic both those people are. Anyway, so Sony announces a new film with no involvement from the people who you know and the people who kind of brought back the franchise. Admittedly, a streaming show, but they're still alive. They're still in their 50s. Like you got them. They're there. They're probably willing to make a movie. But yeah, that's not really where we want to go in 2024. To Daniel and Johnny, we're gonna to show the progress. My point being, like, who do you think's gonna be in the 2024 version? You think it's just gonna be a little Daniel's son equivalent in 1984, having to overcome the evil blonde guy? That's the subliminal message I was talking about. If you go back and watch the original 84, it's like, gee, all the bad guys are blonde. That's weird. Gee, who made the movie? It's so weird. So the dark-haired Italian who in the film was portrayed as the outsider coming to sunny California, which in 84 actually was still sunny surfing type of town, has to team up with the other foreigner as portrayed in the film by the sensei to fight the evil blonde guys who have an in-group. I mean, there's a lot going on in the movie. Like, you really want to put on the glasses, you see it, and it goes, oh, it's not deep. I mean, you don't have to stretch to make the connections. I think I did a video on this before. I mean, you could really, really look into it. It's all there. It's bizarre. I mean, it's not bizarre because you see it repeated in Hollywood so often. My point being, before I go too far, is what do you think the 2024 film is going to be? They're not using those two original guys. The dark Italian juxtaposed with the blonde Johnny. It's like they're opponents, and then maybe they have to team up to fight a common threat. It's like, you have a lot of fun with it, and throw in Hilary Swank if you want. Go to Japan and fight dragons or something. I don't know, but they're gonna, like, what do you think when they say they're not gonna use those guys? Like, who do you think they're gonna use? What do you think the protagonists and antagonists are gonna look like? Call me crazy. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. This is from the 84 Star Trek, not Star Trek, whatever it's called, Karate Kid. Who do you think the protagonists and antagonists are going to be in the 2024 version? How do I know this? How do I make such predictions? I must be a genius. I must have such a big brain. Listen to this. No, you sound like kind of a fucking idiot to me. Yeah, that's probably more accurate. So how am I able to make these predictions so accurately? Because I've seen it repeated 1,000 times? Oh, yeah, even an idiot can make these predictions and still be accurate. Yeah, it's amazing. They're gonna Ghostbuster. It's gonna be guys like who look like this, who actually are 5 blonde dudes, who are the bad guys. It's like, it's so obvious once you start seeing this kind of stuff. So in the 2024 film, it's going to be like the bad guy antagonists are going to look like this, and the protagonist is going to be a Zer, furry, POC, BLT, otherkin, who these guys aren't using the pronouns. They're probably TERFs. Who are not using, but they probably like J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, because something to do with pronouns and the patriarchy and interracial, gender, Zer, otherkin, furry relationships, fighting the patriarchy, and Trump is bad, and I'm so angry at Trump. That's going to be kind of the that's 2024. Just going out on a limb. I mean, you have to wait to see it. I'm sure I'm wrong. I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. I could be way, way off base. Except, there's kind of a whole long list of films that kind of say I'm probably not going to be off base, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, go back and watch like this stuff from the 80s, man. And like literally within that 10-year period, there was just a lot of good, simple movies, from The Goonies to Top Gun to this, to all the stuff that came out during the 80s was just a lot of dumb fun. And like they can't even do that anymore, because as much as like as heavy-handed as the subliminal programming even in the 80s, with the Nordic stereotype being always going to be the cruel, malicious, and yet stupid and incompetent antagonists. When I don't know who made this, Zemeckis possibly. They can't even do that nowadays, because they have to be so heavy-handed, where it's going to be, it's going to be there's going to be BLT themes in 2024, of course. Well, why wouldn't there be, bigot? But do people want to see it? It doesn't matter what they want. We're gonna give it to them anyway. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next episode.